I still genuinely don't know what the future looks like for the UK. I mean, I don't know the future in any case, but like with the UK specifically, I just don't see a path out, man. And the God damn. Dude, I can never get over this, man. The UK GDP. Look at that. I mean, it's not just the UK, like France is in the same position, but for a bunch of Europe, the line stopped going up at the 2008 financial crisis, and it just hasn't moved since then. It's just been nonstop flagging since then, you know? There was just this period of growth from 9/11 to the 2008 financial crisis that meant something, and then after that, imagine losing India and then they outdid you. Well, keep in mind, India has like 50 times the population, but yeah. India will be a superpower, though. The 2,000 pound line comes up a lot and has been completely debunked across our media today. Yeah. What is Romania cooking? Romania has been exploding lately in GDP, which is, again, weird to me because they don't seem to have the kind of cultural clout in their area that you would expect given that. But no, yeah, look, this is 2015 right here. Since then, their GDP has doubled, basically, in just the past decade. Pretty remarkable stuff. I mean, you know, a better recovery than their neighbors and much of the rest of Europe, certainly. They have been cooking. They stole GDP from surrounding countries. European racism. This is what I mean, by the way, about Britain being, like, more naturally resistant to fascism. I fully believe Boris Johnson was a fascist, or at the very least, like, an enabler of fascism. But if this was America, Nigel Farage would be, like, the main conservative guy for your country, you know? In America, there would be no room for this kind of, like, wheedling, posh, you know, aristocrat bullshit. Like, this, like, civility politics, you know, died in tradition, nonsense. None of this would run in America. So in a way, it's kind of like an insulatory layer, you know, a sort of protective barrier, at least for now. Farage is rising in the polls. Well, that's not surprising, man. I mean, look at what the Tories have been up to. He'll probably win this. Farage isn't going to win the upcoming election. He's rising in the polls. He's not going to beat Labour. 5-minute video on the 2K tax thing. I don't need to. I know it's bullshit. And who cares? Who cares? The country's a sinking ship anyway. Okay, fine, I'll look.
Yeah, this election campaign is still relatively young, but I think we've already encountered what might be the most annoying saga throughout this. And it is a bit of a saga, OK, but bear with me. I'm going to explain where that £2,000 figure that we've heard about from the Prime Minister actually comes from, but also a few other things to their spending and their tax policies if they were to get into government, so the next 4 years. And there are various things in there you might reckon. 2,000.
Wow, I just realized that I don't care. There is not a single human being alive, by the way. There is not a single citizen who understands how taxes work, okay? There are still, unironically, Americans who believe that you don't want to make more money because it'll put you in a new tax bracket. That is the, like, IQ level we're dealing with when we talk about taxes and the understanding that people have of taxes. So, you know, you can't... It's genuinely insane. Yeah, it's genuinely insane. You know, the only time that logic actually works is with welfare. Did you know that? In America, there are some welfare programs that are structured so that if you make more money, like with your paycheck, you get the program cut and you end up losing money overall, which is a disincentive against getting a better job because welfare is terribly structured. It's horribly structured, designed to keep people in poverty. Same with disability, same with welfare benefits for marriage, where if you marry, you don't get like 2 times the allocation of welfare, like proportional to your income, meaning that you can marry and then make less money, even though marrying usually like gives you better tax benefits. That's all the UK here. Yeah, it's deliberately done that way, and they do it because they hate you. They hate you and they want you dead. Never forget. You guys batch cook like it's not normal to heat your food. I don't think you guys understand. Heating bill, like electricity bills have been so bad in the UK that people have literally like not been using their appliances. It's insane. It's like a third world country over there. It's like in some places, it's crazy.
And it may not be so gentle next time. We now turn to another.
Why would time of day affect how much money you spend on cooking? Do they have surge pricing and utilities? Yes! Yes, there were people who were getting billed like thousands of pounds. Like an ungodly amount. Why are energy prices so high? Are they still going up? from bionic.co.uk. Energy price increased about 100%. Energy price cap. No price cap on business energy. Where was the? I saw a figure that was being wholesale electricity costs around 120 pounds per megawatt hour. Currently, wholesale electricity around 90 per megawatt hour. What's the cost here? USA electricity cost megawatt hour around $30 per megawatt hour, 4 times that price. And sometimes there's surge. Honestly, you guys need it. What's your population growth right now? UK domestic birth rate. The total fertility rate was 1.49 children per woman in 2022. Yeah, you're below replacement rate, motherfucker. You need immigration. You're below replacement rate. You want your population to decline? With all the economic trouble you're already having, you want your population to decline? Jesus.
Prime Minister says it's too high. Well, who's in charge? Who's in charge? He's the most liberal Prime Minister we've ever had on immigration. We've never had...
Here you go, guys. Outflanking from the right. Keir Starmer, warrior for the working class, over here being like, get a load of Rishi Sunak, the guy who wants to send all of the immigrants over to Rwanda. He's pretty pro-immigrant, huh? I'll show you what anti-immigrant looks like. Yes. Is there a reason to be against immigration other than racism? No. Sorry, it really is that simple, like 95% of the time. Immigration is complicated. There are like specific, you have to be careful with it. It's a complicated issue. I'm not saying it's always simple. Like sometimes it's difficult to integrate large numbers of immigrants, but overwhelmingly, yes, having immigrants is the economically correct choice for the UK. Massively so. Yeah.
We will have a deterrent.
Why Rwanda? Racism. Literally just that.
So the simple question for Keir Starmer is, what will you do with people who come here illegally? What will you do with them? Well, very simply, what will you do?
Give them an education, man, if they don't already have one. Put them to work. Put them bitches to work. That's what we do with the Mexicans. Oh, you want to come over to America? You want to bring us chalupas? You want to bring us street tacos? Fine. But you're going to be working for $3 an hour in the agricultural center, and your boss is going to threaten to deport you if you ever complain about the brutal violations of working rights that you and your family endures. And you're going to send 90% of your income as remittances over to your family in Mexico while you sleep in a dorm room with 18 other undocumented immigrants. So just do that in the UK. Okay, don't actually do that. But like, you know, I don't know. Maybe let them work a little bit. I don't know. I mean, just a suggestion. Yeah, immigrants are crazy good for the economy, you know? A fully grown adult human being, a grown-ass man from, I don't know, Syria or Poland or North Macedonia is coming over like a 23-year-old guy with a strong back and strong hands. Put that motherfucker to work. You getting that shit for free, dude. You kidding me? If a baby's born, you have to spend 18 years coddling the little before it can do anything. You just got a worker for free. That's crazy. In all likelihood, the UK isn't getting Polish immigrants because of economic conditions, living standards improving in Poland. Yeah. Where is it currently? I mean, there's the Syrian refugees or whatever. Where's, hold on. Where are UK's immigrants from? Is it like North Africa? What are we talking here? India, Romania, and China. Why Romania? Isn't their GDP booming? Well, India's not surprising. Where are all of their Wahhabists coming from? Poland cheap labor was 20 years ago. How the fuck are people getting there from China? I was just looking up immigrants, not undocumented immigrants. Let me look up undocumented immigrants. We're from Asian countries. That's very helpful, Pew Research Center. Thank you. We're from Asian countries, huh? That's crazy. 1 in 5 were from sub-Saharan African countries. About 1 in 10 were from Middle East, North Africa countries. Can we be real for a sec? I'm going to be really real, and maybe people in chat are going to accuse me of being unwoke, but I'm being serious about this, okay? You know what? Let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. Yes, your average immigrant from the Middle East, North Africa, and sub-Saharan Africa are probably not going to be very culturally aligned with the average resident of the UK. Honestly, they're going to be pretty backwards. I'm not going to tiptoe around that. I'm not one of those delusional lefties who thinks if you go to the average sub-Saharan African country, I'm going to walk up to some guy and I'm going to be like, yo, Steven Universe, trans rights, working class power, he's going to be like, yeah, man, for sure. I'm down with all those things. No, I understand. Okay. Different cultures. And I'm going to say it a little bit, you know, in a lot of case, worse cultures. You want to see women's rights, gay rights in these countries? I'm not dancing around it. I do think some cultures are better, you know? The difference is that like white Western chauvinists think that better culture means white people, and I think better culture means willing to integrate, you know, people regardless of their color. Kind of a fundamental difference there. I think we have probably better gay nightclubs over here in Seattle, I'm just going to say. If you want to make good citizens, good UK citizens of the undocumented immigrants from North Africa, South Sub-Saharan Africa, whatever the, you know, if you want to get the fuck on over there, right, then you need to integrate them. And that means you need to extend an open outward hand to them. That's what we did with the Italians and the Irish. I mean, mostly because they weren't black, but, you know, if you want them to become like an integral part of your culture, you have to respect them and meet them at their level to an extent, you know? I do not think any humans would choose to... look, I'll put it this way. People are born Amish. Nobody joins the Amish, okay? People are born with a sub-Saharan African attitude towards like minority rights. I don't think anyone chooses that shit. If you give people an equal chance in the UK or America or anywhere else, and you're like, hey, look, I disagree with a lot of your values, but at the end of the day, we're both residents, let's do our best. I think people born into that environment, born into it, like the children of those immigrants, are going to go, I can go with my, like, culturally isolated, enclave-driven, sub-Saharan African parents who hate, like, Western degeneracy and have no fun and are losers, or I can... I don't know, top a twink. I can stop and think, or I can top a twink. They're gonna top a twink! They're gonna top a twink. That's all I'm saying, man. I'm not pretending that immigrating, like getting immigration from sub-Saharan Africa isn't hard. Of course it's difficult. Big cultural differences there, okay? But you can work with that. You can work with that. It's not impossible. You're assuming they won't just become their parents? I'm not assuming, I know. Because I live in America where we do have way more like cultural integration, and I grew up around a ton of young Korean and Chinese people whose parents are like hardline conservative racists and their children are chill as I grew up in LA, man. There are so many enclaves in LA that are made up of older first-generation immigrants whose children then learn English as like a second or first language and end up being totally normal. We have data on this, like towards like the children moving towards the mean and cultural values. It happens. You just have to accept them, you know? You have to accept them. What about the Turkish TikTok guy living in the UK whose mother was secular and he argued with her? Yeah, it's me, Mario. That's exactly my point. In London, they have really regimented enclaves. They don't do cultural acceptance. People in the UK don't think of the UK as a melting pot. They don't think of it as a big, beautiful Caesar salad of cultures. Over in America, there's a lot more integrate. I know that sounds crazy because everyone thinks like America's the most racist country on earth. It's not, man. I'm really sorry. America's one of the less racist countries, and you can demonstrably prove it with like a million polls where it's like, hey, how do you feel about people of different races? And America's consistently one of the least racist. And that's because a lot of our racism is baked into, one, specifically African-American antagonism, and two, because a lot of it is baked into classism. And a lot of the way we do our racism is very class-driven, where there will be racist white people who will pretend that their racism is actually disdain for like low-class blacks or whatever, when in reality it's a race thing. But like, I'm not saying that's good, by the way. I'm just saying that like we do more to integrate people from our enclaves, you know? Man, I grew up in LA. LA has so much like, LA has so many enclaves, but the children in those enclaves go on to be like regular ass guys. It's honestly really inspiring. There's so much racism and segregation in LA, but a lot of it is at like a generational level. And then you see the kids, and a lot of the kids are just like, yeah, they're Americans, man. It's good. But you need to reach out to them for that to work. You need to reach out to them for that to be possible. No, I agree. The UK is especially bad with this Hungamaster. In Canada, the term melting pot is used as a negative term. Yeah. Public education's a huge melting pot towards the mean. Yeah, it is, 100%. Let me see if I can find that. Polling country Neighbor of different race. I think that was the question that I'm thinking of. Here we go. A fascinating map of the world's most and least racially tolerant countries. Right here. Share that answered people of another race when asked to pick from groups of people they would not want as neighbors. And over here you have like Argentina, Brazil, US, Canada, Norway, Australia, and just a few others in the dark blue, as in like very few people said that. But if you look over here, like France, racist as shit. Admittedly, right over here, the UK is also dark blue, so maybe this contradicts my narrative a little bit. You know, maybe we could describe it as a different kind of racial bias, where like in the UK, they won't outwardly say they're against people of another race, but they still don't do much work to like culturally integrate. Also, this is from 2013, before the Syrian refugee crisis, so I'd be willing to bet in Europe these are probably worse now. Ew. How's Pakistan blue but India red? I hate to tell you, man, Pakistan's pretty bad, but India's literally ruled by Hitler right now. Like, India's pretty bad, man. I gotta say, in terms of, like, national culture, I'll take China over India 500 times over. China may be more totalitarian and regimented, but holy shit, India is on their goddamn... Yeah, we'll talk about the election. We'll talk about the election. In the UK, it's less about race and more about economic refugees, asylum seekers, and Muslims. Yeah, it's the framing of the question can massively change how it is. India is the worst country today, IMO. Every time I hear anything about India, it's either them being Hitlerite or like another gang rape of a woman. It's not good, man. It's not good. It's not good. Loads of actual terrorists. He mentions it later, like blowing up plane shit. Yeah, I don't know much about his prosecutorial past, but interesting. You're missing an important point here. When Sunak says he's anti-immigration, he's talking about deporting asylum seekers. Keir was calling him a liberal because he allows a record high amount of legal immigration. Yeah, because that's what it is now. We're doing the same thing in America, where it's like we're treating asylum seekers and illegal immigrants the same, which is just not how it works. Please look at this. The UK is actually really pro-immigration. I don't believe that. If that's the case, why are the two PM candidates arguing about who's more anti-immigrant? Without realizing it, Britain has become a nation of immigrants. Another surprise that's very good at assimilating people. Okay, I don't believe this. Now I'll never get a chance to believe it. Also, this looks like it's narrative bullshit, you know. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Is Keir Starmer's collar too low respective to his shirt? What? No? It doesn't spread out far enough. Ideally, you want a spread collar that reaches the lapel of your jacket because it gives a kind of clean, elegant swoop. That's going to get the round of applause.
So that's a yes.
Nice. Okay, there we go. Love the UK, man. That's right. If I'm forced to by those blokes in the European Commission, I will take us out of the human rights thingy so we can deport people to Rwanda. That's cool.
Yes. I've been crystal clear. I will choose our country's security ahead of membership of a foreign court every single time.
I mean, it makes sense, man. They voted for Brexit. Man, I try not to do this, but I really can't help but feel like you guys deserve all the shit you get. I know that's not fair because a lot of Americans voted for Trump, and I'm like generalizing broadly, but holy man. Oh my god. You do this all the time, lol. I really hate the UK. I get angry emails about it. Off. It was a referendum, dog. You should all, like, you all could have, dude, in a sane country, after the Brexit referendum, all of the no voters would have been like taking to the streets like the purge, going after the leave voters. Like in a sane country, you guys would have woken up the next day and you people would have been like war paint on your face, running around with a baseball bat. Thank you, Labour Party. You know, why bother being to the left of anyone on anything, right? Do you agree with the Tories' plan to deport people and process their asylum in a third country, like, say, Rwanda? Yeah, sure, if we can do it, like, legally. All right, well, there you go. What's the difference between these two parties again? Can somebody tell me? Like, genuinely, what are they planning to do with the Labour Party that's better? Keir Starmer wants to nationalize the trains. Yeah, but he's not going to. Yeah, where's Corbyn? Bring me back Corbyn, man. The Labour Party is being run by the people who worsened anti-Semitism accusations so they could oust Corbyn because they didn't like the idea of Tony Blair's party being taken over by an actual socialist. Corbyn was not better. Corbyn was absolutely better. Are you kidding me? Then Kid Starver? Are you kidding me? Corbyn was a principled socialist. I didn't agree with all of his foreign policy takes, man, but compared to this... Okay, genuine question. Do you, to any Europeans who are watching, do you think you matter? Like in a military situation globally? You guys realize that, like, if there's any kind of nuclear war breakout, you guys are literally irrelevant, right? We have an so we're America. We have the nukes. You might have some nukes. We have the nukes. We have nuclear submarines all across the world. We have the defense apparatus to use them and target them. We have shit locked up in Area 51 that you have no idea what we're on about, okay? You have no idea what we're capable of. Do you guys seriously think you're relevant on the global stage? You're a rounding error when compared to our military force. Why do you guys pretend? I mean, I'm in favor of you guys maintaining some kind of domestic force, but what is this with, like, nuclear deterrency? You're not the deterrent, motherfucker. We're the deterrent! Love it when Vaush's American chauvinism comes out. It's not American chauvinism. This is literally true. It's not a joke. Out of the top 5 air forces in the world, the U.S. has 4 of them. We're crazy, man. Yeah, the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Navy, then the Russian Air Force, then the U.S. Army Aviation, then the U.S. Marine Corps. We're up there, man. We're topping the charts. A lot of Europeans don't trust that America would back them in case of war. I'm not against them maintaining it like national defense, but if things came down to nukes, it's not like London would get nuked and America would be neutral on it. Any nukes that fly that threaten the UK threaten the world. Only the UK and France, and between us we only have 500 compared to Russia's 6,000. I wouldn't trust Russia's 6,000 nuke number too much for what it's worth. You can do deterrence with just a few nukes, right? Like the count doesn't really matter. You want a few hundred, you know, you want to pepper them good, right? We also have pretty decent, like, anti-ICBM weapons these days. Not, like, super reliable, but probably enough to knock down a significant number of ICBMs that go flying. So, you know, you don't want to just fire, like, 3 of them. You literally can't say that in a UK election. I get that. I just think that it's kind of insane to talk about nuclear deterrency as the UK. I just think that's psycho. I also think it worsens relations with Russia. I know things are bad right now, but, like, Russia's always threatening nuclear war. Don't join them in that. Don't make it out to be like you're both equally unhinged, you know? Oh, collision course. We have a global nuclear umbrella. We've got nuclear submarines everywhere. That shit's always on deployment, you know? They're always out there. And, like, do voters want to hear this? Aren't they more concerned with food? A lot of European voters are very anxious about Russia right now. Yeah, Comrade Robin Hood, I don't know. I just think ignoring them is better, but maybe. I never understood that. Is it like nuclear torpedoes? They fire missiles. The nuclear torpedoes go up to the surface, and then they fire a big missile, usually with a range of a few hundred miles. The point of a nuclear submarine is that they're like the guaranteed endgame because you can't destroy them in a first strike. If you attack early and you attack well, you might be able to destroy a bunch of ground-based missile silos across the heartland of America, but you could never take out the, like, dozens and dozens of nuclear submarines that would just, like, reach the surface and fire, you know? They fire straight up. There's like a silo for it that fires straight up. That's their whole purpose.
As a politician, I was the Director of Public Prosecutions. I was working on national security. I was dealing with terrorist plots. One of them that we prosecuted was to take down 7 aeroplanes.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't even need a surface. I would. That'd be a pretty remarkable feat of engineering. A rocket with hundreds of miles of range that can operate equally well through water and then through air. That's like future tech shit. Maybe through a bit of water, but, you know, if they're, like, a little while down, is that possible? I don't even know, but that sounds like crazy shit to me. They do that already, though? Hold on. Do nuclear subs need to surface to fire? No? Holy shit! Okay. But only at, like, shallow depths. But the depth is classified? I guess that makes sense. I didn't even know that. That's crazy. No, all subs fire at minus 300 meters. That's not true. 300 meters? That's crazy, dude. Huh. Look, I'll look more into it later. I don't really have the presidential riz. They wouldn't make it in America. It'd be over for them. I don't care enough anymore, man. He's literally criticizing Stammer for being a human rights lawyer. Yeah. It's like Sunak is literally this, like, leech ghoul making money off the demise of the UK, and, you know, Keir Starmer not doing that. He has to come up with some kind of retaliation. Politics has fallen off so hard, SMH. No kidding. Imagine unironically paying attention to politics in this day and age. It's not surprising that the, what is it, the Reform Party with Nigel Farage is getting up in the polls. I mean, the modern Labour Party isn't, like, nearly racist enough. I like how this is one of the first photos that comes up when you Google Nigel Farage. You know, they know what they're doing. Didn't he get milkshaked, like, just a little bit ago? On his first day of campaigning, he got, like, a clean milkshake hit. Woo! Nice. And then the news, like the Telegraph and stuff, were like, let's look into the woman who milkshaked Nigel Farage. Did you know she's a Corbyn supporting OnlyFans model and she's gorgeous? Like that's what they've been reporting. They've been reporting like, hey, you know, look at this. Woman 25 accused of chucking milkshake over Nigel Farage, unmasked as OnlyFans star. You know you just made her a millionaire, right? Like, hey, did you know the person who just did a very funny milkshaking of a fascist is a smoke show, you know? And she's got an OnlyFans where you can see her pussy. Presumably, I don't know that for sure, but like I assume that's probably what that's probably what she's up to on there. Go ahead and give her money. You know, she's gonna make a lot of money off that. Also, holy color gap, dude! That's not even that color chasm. Oh my god, men's tailoring is dead. Jesus, look at that. Yeah, the collar canyon. That suit deserved a milkshake. Yeah, she was doing him a favor, to be honest. Added to his drip. Clothing looks better than that suit. I hope so. All right. So that's the state of the UK right now, I guess.